Every day, you wake up as your own boss, making your own way. Every day, you continue your journey to change the world, your team, and yourself. Every day, you encourage, congratulate, celebrate, and reach toward your goal of being the best and providing the best. The Build Your Best Business Show is for you. The real stories of building a business from other owners and founders along the journey. Find the support and advice you need to successfully start, grow, manage, and exit your business. What are you going to do today to build your best business?
Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. At Build Your Best Business, we focus on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, manage, grow, and eventually exit a business? We're talking today with Todd Olson. He is co-founder and CEO of Pendo, and we're coming to you from the 3686 conference in sunny Nashville.
Sunny.
It's a little rainy. I drove up here this morning. I was like, wow. So Todd, tell us a little bit about what Pendo does.
Sure. Thanks, Eric, and thanks for having me. So Pendo, the focus on Pendo is helping companies modernize their applications and improve their product experiences. As we see more and more worlds building software experiences and delivering their services through software, a lot of their experiences aren't what they should be in delivering the real value to end customers. So we deliver a cloud-based solution which installs into people's products, collects a lot of behavioral information, and then allows those companies to send messages to the end users to help guide them through the application to make sure they're getting value and getting a successful experience. So that's what we do.
Okay, so as I'm using a product, maybe a SaaS-based, meaning like a cloud-based solution.
Exactly.
If you notice some behavior that seems that maybe I'm confused or I don't know how to do something, then your system tells me, gets me around that.
Hey, check this out. It also can suggest, we'll greet you, onboard you, suggest things for you to use. And then also it's going to feed all the insights back to the product team so that they know what's being used, what's not being used, so that it can help inform decision making.
Very interesting. I think I have about 100 customers I could send to you.
You probably do.
Because anytime you get into any of those products, you feel like you're pecking around and trying to find what the next thing is. Or
I know. We have everyone from software used in dentist offices to obviously traditional SaaS software that we've all heard of, folks like Salesforce and companies like that. And whenever I see someone interacting with a software screen that has tons of buttons and drop downs, I take note of the application and give it to my sales team and say, this would be a good one to call.
Well, I owned a research company for a long time, and it was founded from kind of classic usability. So I took my first product through a usability lab back in '95.
Okay.
And we watched the customer, falter through the screens that we thought were so easy to use and so easy to understand. They couldn't figure out how to put the credit card in. I call it a beautiful failure. We got to the end of the first user. We're like, we got to start over. So the system is a great one, especially with so many people putting so many products out there and just expecting users to pick it up without any kind of manual, any kind of
exactly. Yeah, we actually don't produce manuals anymore.
Right.
I think the iPhone just completely eradicated this idea that people actually read anymore.
Yeah.
To learn how to do things is considered fail if someone wants to figure out how to use things. So this type of solutions never been more needed. And what's interesting is now even our refrigerators have big giant touchscreens and trying to get us to use them. So software is affecting our lives in sometimes odd ways, but I think it's just going to get more and more in that direction. People are putting touchscreens on everything. The fact is, hardware is becoming inexpensive and cheap and commoditized. So a lot of the differentiation is happening through software.
Okay, so talk to me about how did you get into this role? How did you decide that this was a problem you wanted to solve?
Yeah, so I got to this. The way a lot of entrepreneurs get to the companies is through pain. I had prior to this, I was the head of products at a company called Rally Software. Rally's a software as a service, large enterprise project management solution. I always craved more data on how my users were using the application. And I found very often that people weren't using the things that we're building. So you spend months working on something and then you ship that thing and then you go interview people informally and you realize they weren't even taking advantage.
Right.
And that is just frustrating.
And was it because they couldn't find it, or they
Couldn't
didn't
find it, didn't know it even. Sometimes it's just even awareness. Like now, I mean, the average software application, years ago was, I started my career every 6 months, maybe once a year we do a big push. Now people are shipping weekly.
Right.
People can't keep up with that change. So it's a lack of awareness, a lack of understanding. New users are coming at the system all the time. They're never helped or trained, or there's no onboarding call for every person that joins a brand new company on a new product. So lots of problems with doing it, and it's really, really frustrating. So I had this pain, and what I realized is whenever I wanted to fix this, my engineering team would say, "Oh, that'll be 1 to 2 months,
right,
or 3 months." And it's like, well, geez, I can either spend 1 or 2 months building features for customers that they want, or I could build these things for internal usage. It always gets, it's never quite at that top of that list because it's always a little bit too expensive. So, when I left the company, this is like the pain point that just kept gnawing at me that said, I got to do something in this space. Not only did I live this pain, but more and more people are going to live this pain.
And so as I think about this and think about where it fits, what kind of integration is required for the platforms that you're working with? So how closely, because that sounds like a little bit of a hurdle, right? For you guys to
So, I mean, we live in a lot of applications. We actually track the number of end users we touch. It's over 20 million a day. So that means you need to not break 20 million people's web browsers a day, right? So we work with every kind of technology. What we learned early on is we started as obviously a startup in a co-working space. So we started building things for the modern technologies, and then what you quickly learn is the people that have the real capital, the ones that can pay you, usually have older technologies. Right. So we spent a lot of time making sure we work on a broader variety of browsers, application frameworks, any language. So it doesn't really matter what you have. Actually, the older and harder to use, probably the better value we'll provide. So we've worked very, really hard at just testing and working in a variety of use cases that it would probably shock a lot of people to see.
I think that's a really good point, because you talk with startups and individuals who are building companies, and they think about bleeding edge technology, leading edge technology, and any work you do in a Fortune 500 or Global 2000, you'll find out they've adopted technology and it's still around.
Exactly.
They've got multiple systems in place, things they don't want to get rid of because it would be so hard to train new people or to make the investment. So really being a little retro and going back and thinking about how you can address these problems in larger systems is a smart way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely helped us. I mean, I think every company needs to decide what segment of the market you're selling to, right? And we spend a lot of time with the small companies and the startups, and I think naturally a lot of startups want to start there because you want to help your kind, and it's a little bit exciting and sexier to sell to startups, and Y Combinator this and Techstars that, and but when you start to try to really drive revenue, if you're an enterprise company like we are, or a B2B company I should say, the enterprise is actually probably easier. It takes just as much time to convince a small company to buy you that does a large, I've noticed, and you get a lot more money from the large ones. So,
right. And they're used to writing a check to have their problem solved.
Exactly, and so we made the decision early on, and then we had to tackle some technical hurdles like this whole Internet Explorer thing. We saw technologies I hadn't seen in years,
right.
And it shocked that people still used it. But we're like, if we don't solve this, what are their options? Well, they're not that good, and if we solve them, they'll pay for them.
Right.
And if anything, what I think what's cool about what we're doing is, in a lot of cases, we're helping these companies get to the future. So we go on their old technologies, we measure everything, we help them understand what's
So you're sort of proving they need to make a change.
And we're helping modernize, helping pick what to change. Because some things probably aren't getting used at all. They can just leave behind.
Right.
Never move to the new thing, right?
The feature that Sally thinks is really important that no one else uses.
Yeah, so I think in many ways, I'm in the software business. I don't think I'm curing cancer or anything like that. But if we help modernize a lot of legacy software applications, I like to think we were going to leave the world a better place than we were before. So,
absolutely. So where did you... So it sounds like this plugs in. I'm trying to figure out where the technology plugs in. So it sounds like it's more... Is it on the client side?
Yeah, browsers. So it's in people's browsers. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So they integrate to there. So talk to me about the beginning. So you have this idea, you decide to build a company around it. You say you're touching 20 million users probably today.
Correct.
But there had to be someone who took the first risk, who said,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's a good
yeah.
idea. Like, what was first, second? How did you get that?
Well, I think early days, you're really trying to get anything, right? So we it's and
I guess a better question, was it technology first or customer first? Did you go find a customer to address?
so we a mix, right? We did raise a $1 million seed round early on. So in order to do that, you have to have some customer validation. You can't you can't say you have an idea and you'll get funding, but it is always nicer to validate it. And I would encourage anyone to go validate it yourself, because this is, I'm 3 years in and I have many, many years left. So it's like having a child, right? You just don't like jump into it without doing a little bit of research. But yeah, we had a lot of people that were interested if we had something, but then you have to build it. I think ultimately you have to build something. It's hard to validate, mock-ups and napkin sketches, right? So we got something out there, and we got a handful, a dozen or so people to start installing it and trying it, and then we just kept iterating on it and iterating on it and iterating on it for months. And I did all the selling myself. I used every connection I found on LinkedIn. Every VC I met with, I'd ask for 2 to 3 connections from their portfolio. Hey, let me just talk to some of those. This would be a good user of our software. And sure enough, those intros were our early customers. So we leveraged those introductions to prove value, and we earned them the right way. We delivered enough value to earn capital out of it, earn real cash out of it. And we have, from our original customers, I think all but maybe one who's completely changed direction, still customers, so years later. And I think that's a credit to the problem we're solving and the solution we had, but very customer focused. And you got to listen. Like you build something, and this is the thesis of what we think solves this problem, but you get in there and you realize, well, no, it didn't solve their problems. They really want this thing more. So then, we decided, let's build it.
Right.
You keep iterating and iterating and iterating until you find product market fit. And it's, we're at the time, 5-person company working in co-working space ourselves, crammed in this tiny little room,
But you're going out we're a customer first organization, so you've got to be customer first, right? You have to walk the walk before anybody else.
Exactly. And I do a history of Pendo now. Talk to all brand new employees, and we started with 6 betas, then 20 betas, and we got our first paying customer in October of that same year. So January, October, that just 10 months later, first paying customer. End of the year with 6 paying customers. But we had over 60 beta customers at the time. People sampling. So kind of building that funnel, that pipe, and that was also a good sign when you need to hire your first salesperson. It's when there's so many people in the pipeline that I personally couldn't work them anymore. Then I knew to grab someone else, and I think it's worked for us, getting additional customers.
I got a lot of good lessons in there. A couple that you said right before we go to the commercial break that I want to bring out is you can't have valuation without customers. So you got to have somebody using it. And the other is making sure that you're not just looking for or taking money from a VC. You want their connections to customers. You want to know what they can do for you. It's an important part of it.
Huge important part. I mean, it's a measure. It's not just capital. It's, are they going to make intros? Are they going to work? And it's vice versa. I would always say, look, the best way to get to know us is through customers, your portfolio using our product, and then telling you how valuable it is. Yeah. Don't just trust me. Get real validation. And that's worked. I mean, all of our investors made intros. All of them. We have some of their portfolio customers, many of them actually, in fact, as customers. And it's a way to build a two-way relationship.
Very nice. We're going to go to our first commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit. I want to talk about that history of Pendo speech that you give to employees, because I think that's an interesting thing, and how you onboard, because often when companies are scaling, that's where they lose that culture and that history. So we're talking today with Todd Olson. He is the co-founder and CEO of Pendo. You're listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw, and we will come back from 3686 in just a minute.
Congratulations, you're your own boss. Now comes the hard part. It's not just about starting a business, it's about successfully managing and growing that business to an eventual exit. And along that entrepreneurial journey, you're going to run into questions and problems that you need quick answers to. Things like, do you need a business plan? How do you read a balance sheet? How do you talk to an investor? When do you bring on a founder? Or what if you're having problems with your partner? These are the types of things that you run into as you're trying to grow that business to the next level, and they may not be the things you want to share in public with other people. They're the problems and issues that arise that, as I have experienced along my own entrepreneurial journey, that I needed to have someone I could trust to reach out to and have a conversation and get a different perspective. And it was often those short conversations that would be the thing that moved me from where I was to where I needed to be. It's for that reason I created the On-Demand CXO product offering. On-Demand CXO is something that you can use to have a conversation with a trusted advisor about what's going on in your business. We do a 1-hour phone call to talk about your business, talk about your objectives, and understand what it's going to take to move you from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. From there, you have ongoing access to a Slack channel to ask me questions in private about what's going on in your business so that I can provide some advice or connections to my network to individuals who can help you solve against that problem. You will also have access to my Facebook page, which is full of other entrepreneurs who are along the same journey, to have more broad conversations, things that you trust and would talk about in a networking event. But when you need to go and have that conversation with a trusted advisor, you will have the ability to have a conversation with me in a place that's safe, completely anonymous, and unbiased. I want to see you succeed and build your very best business.
Are you looking to grow your business? Maybe you know exactly who you need to get in contact with. You're just not sure how to go about it. Podcasting is your answer, and at Briller Media, we make you the expert. We have state-of-the-art equipment to record your audio and video podcast. Plus, we take care of everything on the back end. We schedule your guests, upload your podcast to the top podcasting platforms, and we push out your show on social media, promoting you, your business, and your guest's business. How could they ignore your pitch after that? Briller Media, we make you look brilliant.
Sometimes, life gives you crazy ideas. Chase them.
What's really interesting was the onboarding of the new employee. So as you guys started to bring employees in and you said the history of Pendo?
Yep.
It's like a speech you've figured out?
Yeah, it's an hour-long session. Every employee goes through it. And it takes them through the founding thesis for why I created the company. It takes them through the core differentiators, why we're special, why we're different. Our vision is another big thing. I think what hit me, a number of mentors and colleagues, is you need to have a long-standing vision and mission. One, I think today's workers, and there's a lot of discussion around millennials and that generation, they want to be at mission-driven companies. It's not just about financial gain or having a job or hitting some number. I mean, we all need to hit numbers. Numbers, I always tell my team, hitting our financial metrics is what gives us the freedom to try to hit our mission.
Right.
And I like freedom. So we're going to continue to try to hit those numbers to give us the freedom to do so. But sharing and saying this is our big vision, it's going to take us a while to do this.
Right.
That's a big piece. Our core values. I spend a good chunk of time on core values, and not just this is a value. Oh, by the way, it's printed on our wall. Here's specific stories on how we got to this value, how we have upheld this value, how we live this value in our culture today, and what we expect of people, frankly. One of the challenges when you're a startup is that we don't have a lot of formal rules written down. We don't have a lot of formal processes. I don't want a lot of formal processes. Yet we have expectations. And sharing those expectations up front, make sure there are no areas for confusing situations downstream. So we do that, and then we walk through literally the history of the idea was founded. Then this is when we hit this revenue milestone. This is when we hit this employee milestone. This is when we moved. So we brought on these key people.
So it's all the significant family history.
Yeah, and this is when we brought on this investor and why. talk about this customer, so I think all those little details is kind of embodied in it. And then we talk about our OKRs. We've been using OKRs as a goal setting process since we started the company. So we share what the process is,
Right.
and then why we do that process, and then also what the actual goals are as well. So it's a packed hour. I mean, it's meaty,
Right.
And then I follow up 90 days with every employee in a one-on-one, and then check in.
Yeah.
Hey, I said all these things 90 days ago. Are we still living these things?
Yeah.
What's broken? What's right?
And that first 90 days, new employees tell you the best stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Why do we do this? And you sometimes you're like, well, why do we do that? That may not be a process we need to do any longer, or we could improve that some way. They've got fresh eyes.
It's helped me keep a pulse on what's going on in the organization. Lots of new ideas have stemmed for this. I'll write down little notes and go share them with folks. So I think it's been just an awesome way to stay connected. And you're right. I think, I noticed, as an entrepreneur, as a company, we went from, we had 5 for a while, then went to kind of 12 for a while. We raised our Series A, and then we got to 30. And I think 30 was a tough patch for us. I think it's just like, we were this tweener business, and I, in my role, had to invest a lot of energy and culture and communication around it. And so I had made the shift right around then to start being more intentional with this training, with one-on-ones. And then that's gotten us from 30 to 100 a lot easier. And now we're over 100 as of today, actually. And I think things feel good. I mean, we have our hiccups here and there, but I think by and large the culture is maintained. It's structured really, really well recently.
It's such a hard thing to perfect, and when done well, it's what really differentiates one company from another, when they can figure out that quote unquote kind of vague word culture and really move it along, right? So you've been in some big companies that have been acquired, and now you're doing this. So talk to me a little bit about the difference. Like, do you?
Yeah, so this is actually the third company I've started from scratch, and I've exited some, and then I've been part of ones that have sold and ultimately grown even more. And as I said, maybe I didn't mention, but at Rally we went through an IPO, so I had that experience. I think I love every stage of business. I think they're all fun. It's just, and what's interesting about it is there's different muscles you have to flex at different stages. And when you're early in a business, survival's around getting product market fit, and it is all that matters.
Right.
Now that we're beyond product market fit, now it's trying to get initial sales traction and repeatability. So we got through that phase, and now we're kind of in this fun phase where we've got sales repeatability, we have traction. Now it's about scaling.
Yeah.
How do we scale this thing?
Right.
How do we scale and start thinking about scaling it efficiently? We don't. Right now the market favors growth, so we're still very much focused on high growth, but we're starting to have an eye towards efficiency and how we create a real company, a lasting company. You start thinking years out now and saying, we could be here for 4 or 5 years with the capital we've raised and the runway we had ahead of us, and that's a fun stage. And having been through it at larger companies, a lot of my job is to kind of take what I've learned and seen that worked well or not worked well in my prior experience and try to bring the best of it and package it at this company. And so I think we have a fun challenge now is we, of our 100 people, like 95 are in Raleigh, and we're just starting to branch out.
Oh, wow, okay.
Geographically have some remote offices. So like things like video and putting conference dial-ins on and everything. And I've been through this actually at different companies before, so I understand what screw-ups we made at those companies doing it. So it's fun, frankly, not to make the same mistakes twice. Just know in advance, over-invest in AV and video. We just went out and bought a bunch of video equipment way before we probably needed it, knowing that we would need it sooner than we thought we would, and sure enough, now we all have it. I think those are the little things we've done and we've gotten really good feedback and kudos from new employees saying you're way ahead of a lot of companies I've worked for, and that's intentional.
Well, that's amazing to me that you have so many people domiciled in the same location, that you've already gone remote earlier. And then funny that people ask me often, what's the biggest lesson I learned, in my early career, and it was what not to do. A lot of what not to do. Exactly. I saw people and I said, I won't do that, right? And that helped to get companies to the right level and to understand what you really have to do. So many mistakes are made the things you go back and you're like, we bought all these machines at this one point. We didn't need them. They just sat on a shelf or those kind of things. So you're here at 3686.
I am.
So talk to me a little bit about what you're presenting. Yes?
I am. I'm on a panel this afternoon talking about how to use geography as an asset to your business. I mean, I think, being in the tech industry as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of narrative around if you're not in the Bay Area, it's some massive disadvantage. And I'll be candid when there are some advantages and disadvantages of not being in the Bay Area, but I think the way I think about anything is how do I leverage something as a strength rather than focusing so much on my weakness. So we're talking a lot about that, but I think we've been successful growing a company in the Southeast, and we're proud to be there. On our website, we kind of proudly say that we are from North Carolina. We infuse Southern hospitality and kind of our culture and brand presence. We go to events. We try to bring some Southern flair, so to speak, and everything from giving out cupcakes to barbecue to
lemonade. Those kind of things.
Exactly. I mean, and that's people enjoy it, and it's authentic to who we are as a business, and I think people, I think it helps. So.
Yeah, and so if you could go back, I always love this question because there's always a kind of an interesting response. If you could go back to the beginning of starting this organization, is there one thing you would change? One thing that you would tell yourself this is going to happen, and you need to do it differently, or
this has been a pretty good one. So I'll be honest, we've not a lot that I would probably change. Finding office space has been more of a hassle than I ever imagined it would be. So that's one of the few things that I've been shocked is painful.
It takes so much longer than people think.
Yeah, that's been a surprising one. But we've hired really, really well. We've had, we've found amazing investors to be involved in our company as real partners, and I think that's been really, really strong. I mean, I think if anything, all the problems back in the early days all seem bigger than they really are. And I remember a few very stressful periods where I look back now and just think that,
that wasn't what you thought it would be.
Just should have waited a little bit longer, be patient. Yeah.
So with working, I've got one question that I'm going to ask you kind of about future, and they may tie together, but thinking about, because you're going into so many different diverse organizations that have diverse technology, and you have to be able to figure out what you're going to support and what you're not, how do you make that decision? Because it seems like just for your product, you could pursue a lot of technology enhancements or improvements that
there are. But there's always more things to build than we have people to build them, right? And that's one of the biggest challenges that we face as a business. I mean, that's you could argue I couldn't hire an engineer fast enough just to keep up with the things that we want to build, but we do aggressively hire, and we are hiring for engineers and actually a lot of roles. So please check out our website. But I think there's a balanced approach to product. My background's in product, and our product team is very, very good. You have to be intentional and have a point of view in a product. And our point of view is, we're going to be spending some of our capacity on things that are important to our stated business goals, which are some of our stated business goals are moving up to the enterprise. So things like scalability, security, compliance. We're going to spend about 20 to 25% of our overall capacity on things like that. Another 20 to 25% we're going to spend on just listening to customer feedback. We have nearly 300 customers, some very, very large. You have to listen to them. If you don't listen to them, they will leave you, right? So I know there's plenty of people that say, no, don't listen to them, build whatever you want. I'm not a person of that mindset. I don't think you should drive your entire roadmap over what people say build, but about 25% is there. Another 25% is, honestly, clean up and polish for things we've already built. I mean, I think too few organizations, a lot of people throw things out there, they test them, and then they never go back and polish them. We dedicate about a quarter of our roadmap to making sure we're going back and really making it polished, clean, professional, a solid experience. And then the last quarter is the innovation area, which are things that we want to work on that we think customers may not be asking for. They don't know they need yet, but we're hopefully anticipating their needs. and it's all around, helping people use data and messaging in innovative ways to make their product a measurably better experience. So I think that's kind of our innovation quadrant of our roadmap, and we're roughly quarter spends, but we could spend 40% one and then dial it back. So just
but at least it gives you some major objectives that you're going after to kind of think about.
Yeah, I think having a balanced investment profile in terms of roadmap is ultimately the best way to deliver solid product to the market. So it's something that I've used in the past, and I think we've been pretty good. I think what I see a lot of companies do is ignore the innovation. Only focus on what customer. It's really easy just to listen to customers and just iterate. Right. But I think you'll feel like you aren't being innovative after a while of doing that. And I think that's one of the common failure paths I see.
Yeah, and that is underneath the famous terms from both Jobs and from Henry Ford about customers can't ask for what they want.
Exactly.
But what they mean is they can't react to it. So you have to show them stuff, and in order you have to innovate so that they can say, I like it or I don't. They can't tell you what they need.
They cannot.
Right.
My experience tells me you have to put it in people's hands. You have to give it to them, you have to touch it and feel it. And a lot of those things are tests. We'll put something out there and it's a thesis, and then we'll validate, hey, does this thing work or not? And sometimes, it's not perfect, and we'll iterate. And that's completely okay. But the things that do nail it, then you'll see us go back and really invest in it to make it solid. And that strategy's worked for us. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. We've been talking with Todd Olson. Just to give you another name, Todd Olson. He's the co-founder and CEO of Pendo. You've been listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm Eric Holtzclaw. Please tune in next time and go and build your best business.
Every day, you wake up as your own boss, making your own way. Every day, you continue your journey to change the world, your team, and yourself. Every day, you encourage, congratulate, celebrate, and reach toward your goal of being the best and providing the best. The Build Your Best Business Show is for you. The real stories of building a business from other owners and founders along the journey. Find the support and advice you need to successfully start, grow, manage, and exit your business. What are you going to do today to build your best business?